Picture this. You're 8 months pregnant, surrounded by friends at your baby shower, when your sister picks up a knife, stabs your cake 47 times while screaming you ruined her life, then lunges at your stomach. Your husband nods like this makes sense. Your mother grabs your arms and holds you still. This isn't fiction, this is Natalie's reality. And what happened next exposed a conspiracy so twisted it'll make you question everyone you trust. Buckle up. Let me set the scene for you because this is where everything Natalie thought she knew about her family just detonated like a bomb at a celebration that was supposed to be joyful. 50 guests, phones out, recording everything. And in the center of this nightmare, Vanessa, Natalie's own sister, holding a knife dripping with buttercream frosting, having just destroyed a $300 cake like a woman possessed. But here's the thing that should make your blood boil. The knife wasn't the worst part. The worst part? The look on Blake's face. Natalie's husband, the father of the baby currently doing somersaults in her belly. He wasn't horrified. He wasn't rushing to protect his pregnant wife. He was nodding, like his sister-in-law attempting to stab his wife made perfect sense. Let that sink in for a second. Your partner, the person who vowed to protect you, nodding in agreement while someone threatens your unborn child. Natalie's best friend Lacey, she's the only one with functioning brain cells. She throws herself between them, shoves Vanessa back, the knife hits the floor. And you'd think this is where everyone snaps out of whatever spell they're under, right? Wrong. Natalie's mother, Patricia, and I want you to really hear this, had been holding Natalie's arm so tight she'd have bruises the next day. Not restraining Vanessa, restraining Natalie, the victim, the pregnant woman who just had a knife lunged at her stomach. And when Natalie screams, when she begs her mother to let go, Patricia looks at her daughter and says, "I kid you not, Natalie, you need to calm down, you're making a scene." I'm sorry, what? Vanessa just committed assault with a deadly weapon in front of 50 witnesses, but Natalie's making a scene? This is the moment where you realize we're not dealing with family drama. We're dealing with something far more sinister, a conspiracy, a coordinated attack, and Natalie has no idea why. Blake finally moves, but not toward his wife, toward Vanessa, who's sobbing on the floor, mascara streaming down her face like she's the victim here. He puts his hand on her shoulder and says, "It's okay, just breathe." Read that again. He comforts the attacker. Natalie's standing there, 8 months pregnant, hand on her belly where her baby's kicking frantically because babies can sense when their mothers are in danger. And she asks the most reasonable question in the world, "What are you doing?" Blake looks at her with something Natalie had never seen before. Not anger, something colder. And he says, "She's going through something, Nat. You know that." Going through something? As if going through something is an acceptable excuse for attempted murder. "She just tried to stab me," Natalie says, her voice cracking. "She wasn't actually going to," Blake replies. Let me pause here because I need you to understand the gaslighting happening in real time. Vanessa lunged at a pregnant woman with a knife. There are videos, witnesses, physical evidence, but Blake's already rewriting reality to make Vanessa the victim. This is textbook manipulation, and Natalie's entire family is in on it. Lacey grabs Natalie's hand. "We're leaving right now." But Natalie can't move. She's watching her mother kneel beside Vanessa, stroking her hair like she's the one who needs comfort. She's watching Blake completely ignore her wife's trauma, and she's staring at Vanessa, who looks up with red-rimmed eyes and something like triumph on her face. Triumph after attempting to stab someone. Then Vanessa speaks, and her words cut deeper than any knife. "This is what you do. You take everything. Everything that's supposed to be mine." Sirens in the distance. Someone actually called the cops. Thank God for decent human beings. But Natalie is still trying to process what's happening. She looks around the room at all these people she thought loved her and says, "I don't understand what's happening right now." That's when Blake delivers the line that would haunt Natalie for days. "Maybe you should have thought about that before." Before what? Nobody's explaining. Nobody's making sense. Lacey pulls Natalie toward the door because her legs are about to give out. They drive to Lacey's apartment in silence except for Natalie's ragged breathing. She keeps checking her phone, waiting for Blake to call, to text, to explain, to literally anything. Nothing. "Did you know something was going on?" Natalie finally asks. "With Vanessa? With Blake? With any of this?" Lacey admits Vanessa had been weird lately, missed appointments, posted cryptic things on social media about people who think they're better than everyone else, but nobody thinks someone's going to do what Vanessa just did. So Natalie opened social media for the first time in days. She had been so focused on preparing for the baby that she hadn't been paying attention. And there it is. Vanessa's post from 3 hours before the shower. Some people will smile in your face while stealing everything you've ever wanted, but the truth always comes out. Watch. She scrolls back. 2 weeks ago, when your own family chooses someone else over you, that's when you know who people really are. These aren't random thoughts. This is premeditation. Vanessa had been planning this explosion for weeks, maybe months, building a narrative, gathering allies, and Natalie had no idea. Then her phone buzzes. Blake. Finally, but the message makes her blood run cold. I'm staying at my brother's tonight. We need space to think about things. Don't come home yet. Don't come home to her own house, the house she and Blake bought together 3 years ago? Natalie calls immediately. Blake, what is going on? Why would you tell me not to come home? Your sister is really upset, Nat. Your mom is with her at our place trying to calm her down. Let me repeat that. Vanessa and Patricia are at Natalie's house. The woman who just tried to stab her and the woman who held her down are currently in her home, with keys, with access, and Blake allowed it. You let them into our house after what just happened? Natalie can barely breathe. Someone needs to make sure she needs support right now. She tried to stab me. She wasn't actually going to hurt you. She was just overwhelmed. This is insanity, pure, unfiltered insanity. Natalie's 8 months pregnant, just survived an assault, and her husband is prioritizing her attacker. Blake, I'm your wife. I'm carrying your baby. Why aren't you supporting me? Silence. Too long. Then, maybe Vanessa has a point. Maybe we need to talk about some things you've been hiding. He hangs up. Natalie's staring at her phone like it might explain what universe she's fallen into. Lacey's watching with wide eyes. What did he say? He said, I've been hiding something. He said Vanessa has a point. Here's what's brilliant and terrifying about this moment. Natalie has absolutely no idea what he's talking about. She's not playing dumb. She's not deflecting. She genuinely doesn't know what accusation she's being charged with. And that's when you realize this isn't about what Natalie did. It's about what Vanessa convinced everyone she did. Lacey shifts into practical mode. We need to change your locks. If your mother has a key and they're all at your house right now, Vanessa has a key too, Natalie says quietly. I gave her one years ago for emergencies. So all 3 of them, Blake, Patricia, Vanessa, can access Natalie's house whenever they want. She's due in 3 weeks. What if they try to take the baby? This is where fear really hits. Not just emotional betrayal, physical danger. Natalie starts shaking. I can't go into labor with them having access to my home. What if they try to take the baby? Think about that. A woman should feel safe in her own home, especially when she's about to give birth. Instead, Natalie's planning how to keep her family out. Her family has become the threat. This story gets so much worse. Comment right now, would you press charges against your own sister? And have you ever had family turn on you out of nowhere? Hit subscribe because part 2 reveals the fake evidence that almost destroyed Natalie's entire life. Natalie starts digging through old text messages with Blake, looking for clues she missed. 2 days ago, he sent her a picture of a baby onesie from Target with 3 heart emojis. They discussed baby names, his parents' visiting schedule. Everything seemed normal. Nothing indicated he thought she was hiding something catastrophic. Then she switches to Vanessa's thread. Their last conversation was 5 days ago about the baby shower. Before that, a weird 2-week gap, which was unusual for sisters who talked constantly. Natalie scrolls back to find their last real conversation from a month ago. Vanessa had asked about lunch. Natalie said she couldn't because she had a doctor's appointment and Blake was taking her. Vanessa replied, "Of course he is." At the time, it seemed normal. Now, it feels loaded with resentment, like every normal interaction was secretly poisoned. 2 months back, Vanessa asked about her lease renewal. Natalie gave advice about building equity. Vanessa shot back, "Easy for you to say. Some of us don't have everything handed to us." Natalie asked what she meant, but Vanessa said she was just stressed about money and changed the subject. But it wasn't stress. It was accusation wrapped in casual conversation. 3 months ago gets really weird. Vanessa called at 2 a.m. crying. When Natalie answered, Vanessa asked, "Did you know?" Then said, "Never mind," and hung up. The next day, she claimed she'd been drunk and emotional about a bad date. But what if it wasn't about a date? What if Vanessa had been building this narrative in her head for months, testing Natalie with cryptic questions, seeing if she'd confess to crimes she didn't commit? Lacey sees it too. This has been building for a while. You just didn't see it. See what, though? That's what we need to figure out. Then Natalie's phone buzzes. Her mother. "You need to think about what you've done. Your sister is in shambles. She told me everything, and frankly, I'm disgusted. I raised you better than this." Natalie calls immediately. Patricia answers on the first ring. "Mom, what are you talking about? What did Vanessa tell you?" "Don't play innocent, Natalie. Blake confirmed it. We all know the truth now." "What truth? Mom, please, I'm so confused. What does Vanessa think I did?" Long pause, then Patricia's voice goes cold. "Your sister has been in love with Blake since college. You knew that. You've always known that. And you married him anyway." The world tilts. Natalie actually feels dizzy. What? No, Vanessa never said anything about Blake. She never even mentioned him until after we were already dating. Patricia drops the full accusation. "She told me everything tonight. How she introduced you to him at that party, how she'd been working up the courage to ask him out for months, how the next week you called her and said you'd started seeing him, how you knew exactly how she felt and you took him anyway." Let me break down why this is such an effective lie. It contains enough truth to be believable. There was a party, Natalie did go with Vanessa, Natalie did start dating Blake afterward, but the crucial details are fabricated. Vanessa didn't introduce them, she never expressed feelings for Blake, but by mixing truth with fiction, Vanessa created a narrative that's hard to disprove. Natalie tries to defend herself. "Mom, that's not what happened. I didn't even know she knew Blake. She never told me she had feelings for him." She says she told you multiple times. And here comes the expansion of accusations. It's never just one thing with people like this. Once they establish you're capable of one betrayal, they pile on more. Patricia continues. She says you always did this, took the things she wanted, her college boyfriend before Blake, the job she was interviewing for that you ended up getting, the apartment she'd been trying to rent that you somehow got instead. Natalie's head is spinning. What college boyfriend? What job? Mom, I don't understand where this is coming from. Vanessa and I dated different people in college. We've never worked in the same field. We've never even applied for the same apartments. She showed me proof, Natalie. Screenshots, old texts. I saw it with my own eyes. There it is. Evidence. Proof. But Natalie knows she never sent those messages, which means someone created them. Can you send them to me, please? I need to see what she's talking about. Patricia refuses. "I'm not going to enable your denial. You need to face what you've done and apologize to your sister and to Blake." Apologize to Blake, her husband, for the crime of marrying him? Patricia drives the knife deeper. A husband you stole from your sister, a life you built on her heartbreak, and now you're having his baby, the ultimate betrayal. According to Vanessa, she wanted that life, that family, and you took it from her. This is psychological warfare. Natalie's defending herself against accusations she didn't even know existed until 12 hours ago. She's fighting ghosts. "Mom, Blake chose me. We fell in love. That's not stealing. That's just what happened. And all this other stuff, I swear to you, I don't know what she's talking about." Patricia brings up the job at Meridian Tech, the company where Natalie worked right after college. Vanessa interviewed there first. She told you about the position. You applied behind her back, and they chose you instead. Natalie searches her memory. "Mom, I found that job on a job board. I didn't even know Vanessa had interviewed there. And she ended up at a law firm anyway, which is what she always wanted. She's doing way better than I was at Meridian." That's not how she remembers it. And there it is, the core of the problem. Vanessa remembers things differently than they actually happened, or she's lying, or Natalie's losing her mind. Natalie needs to talk to Blake, but Patricia says he left, won't say where. And Vanessa? She's resting in Natalie's guest room, the nursery, where the crib is, where the baby clothes are folded. "Get her out of my house," Natalie says, voice harder than she's ever used with her mother. "Get her out right now, or I'm calling the police and pressing charges for assault." "You wouldn't dare." She tried to stab me while I was pregnant. Yes, I would absolutely dare. She's your sister and I'm your daughter. Why are you taking her side? The question hangs in the air. Finally, Patricia says quietly, because Vanessa's been struggling for so long and you've always had everything come so easily, maybe it's time you experienced some consequences. Then she hangs up. Let me be clear about what just happened. Patricia isn't taking Vanessa's side because she believes the accusations. She's taking Vanessa's side because she thinks Vanessa deserves to suffer. Because in Patricia's worldview, Vanessa is the fragile one who needs protection, and Natalie is the strong one who can handle punishment. This is favoritism disguised as fairness. This is a mother choosing one daughter's feelings over another daughter's safety. Natalie starts crying, huge, gasping sobs that shake her whole body. Lacey hugs her while she breaks down. This is insane. This is actually insane. My whole family thinks I'm some kind of villain, and I don't even know why. But she's about to find out how deep the conspiracy goes. Around midnight, Natalie gets a text from an unknown number. When she opens it, she gasps. It's a screenshot of a text conversation between Natalie and Blake, except Natalie's never seen these messages before in her life. In the screenshot, Natalie's telling Blake about how Vanessa's always been jealous of her, how Vanessa could never keep a boyfriend or succeed at anything, how it's almost sad, really, how hard she tries. Blake responds, "That's harsh, wasn't it?" Natalie writes back, "I'm just being honest. She's always been the disappointing daughter. I can't help it if I'm better at life than she is." Natalie's hands shake as she scrolls through more screenshots, message after message of her saying horrible things about Vanessa, about deliberately pursuing Blake knowing Vanessa liked him, about applying for jobs Vanessa wanted just to prove she was superior. "These are fake," Natalie shows Lacey. "I never sent these messages. This isn't even the right text interface. Look, the colors are wrong. The font is slightly off." Lacey studies them closely. They're doctored, but they look pretty convincing if you don't know what to look for. Another text from the unknown number. "This is what I've been dealing with for 7 years. This is who you really are. And now everyone knows. It's Vanessa." Natalie tries to call, straight to voicemail. She texts back, "These are fake. You know they're fake. Why are you doing this?" Vanessa's typing. Dots appear, disappear, appear again. Finally, "Mom found your old journal from college, the one where you wrote about all of this, about how you loved taking things from me, about how it made you feel powerful. You can't deny it anymore." A journal from college? Natalie had kept journals back then, but she never wrote anything like that. Where would Patricia have even found an old journal? "What journal? I don't have any journals at your place or Mom's place." "The one you left at Mom's house years ago, in your old bedroom closet. She found it when she was cleaning last month." Natalie's childhood home. She hadn't lived there in over a decade, but she had left boxes of old stuff in her closet. It's possible there were journals in there. "Can I see it? If I really wrote those things, I want to see it." No response. Natalie calls her mother. No answer. Texts her. Nothing. "This is orchestrated," Natalie tells Lacey. "Vanessa has fake screenshots. Now there's supposedly a journal with my handwriting saying terrible things. Someone is setting me up, and I don't know why." Lacey asks the obvious question. "Could someone have forged your handwriting in a journal?" "I guess, but why would they? What's the end game here?" Then Blake calls. "Where are you?" Natalie asks immediately. "Are you okay?" "I'm at a hotel. I've been driving around thinking." He sounds exhausted. "I need you to be honest with me, Nat. Did you keep a journal in college where you wrote about intentionally sabotaging your sister?" "No, Blake, I never—" "Because your mom showed me pages from it. Actual pages, ripped out, with your handwriting, and they line up with everything Vanessa has been saying." Natalie's heart is pounding. "Blake, I need to see those pages. Can you take pictures and send them to me?" "Why? So you can deny it more convincingly?" "So I can figure out what the hell is going on. Someone is lying, but I swear to you, it's not me. The screenshots Vanessa sent me look real, Nat. The journal entries look real. Your mom verified the handwriting. What am I supposed to think? You're supposed to trust me. I'm your wife. And Vanessa's your sister who apparently you've been tormenting for years without me knowing. Maybe I don't know you as well as I thought. Blake, please, please, just send me the photos. Let me see what you're looking at." Silence. Then, Fine, but after you see them, I need you to tell me the truth, because if this is all real, we have serious problems, and I need to know if I can trust you with our daughter. The implication makes Natalie feel sick, but she agrees. A minute later, photos come through. The first shows a page from a spiral notebook. The handwriting does look like Natalie's, but the words make her stomach drop. Vanessa thinks she's going to ask Blake out at Kendall's party. I saw her practicing what she'd say. It was pathetic. I'm going to make sure I talk to him first. It'll be so easy to make him like me more. She's so bad at talking to guys. This is going to be fun. More photos, more entries, all in handwriting that looks like hers, saying things she would never think, let alone write down. And that's when Natalie realizes these might be real journal entries, but they're not about Vanessa. They're about someone else entirely. The truth is even more twisted than you think. Drop a comment. Have you ever been framed by someone you trusted? And would you believe screenshots or your spouse? Hit that subscribe button because part 3 reveals who actually wrote in that journal and how Vanessa pulled off the perfect frame job. Natalie stares at the photos Blake sent, her mind racing. The handwriting is too similar to be a coincidence, but she knows she never wrote about Vanessa this way, which means someone either practiced copying her handwriting until they got it right, or, Lacey, Natalie says quietly, what if these are real journal entries but they're not about what they seem to be about? What do you mean? What if I wrote about someone else entirely and someone changed the names? Natalie starts scrolling through old photos on her phone, searching for anything from college that might give her a clue. Then she finds it, a photo from sophomore year of her and her roommate Julie in their dorm. On the desk, in the background, barely visible if you zoom in, is a spiral notebook, her journal, and suddenly Natalie remembers exactly what she'd been writing about that semester. There had been this girl in her sorority named Bethany who was insanely competitive with her. Everything Natalie did, Bethany tried to do better. If Natalie mentioned liking a guy, Bethany would flirt with him at the next party. If Natalie got a good grade, Bethany would brag about getting a better one. It was exhausting and petty and exactly the kind of thing a college student would vent about in a journal. Natalie had written about it extensively, about how she was tired of feeling like she was in constant competition, about how sometimes she made sure to do things before Bethany could, just so Bethany couldn't claim she'd done them first. What if someone took those entries about Bethany and changed the name to Vanessa, Natalie asks. But who would do that, and why would they have access to her old journals in the first place? She asks Blake, when exactly did Mom find these journal pages? She told me last month that she was going through your old stuff. And when did Vanessa first bring up all these accusations to you? She called me about 3 weeks ago crying, saying she needed to tell me something about you that she'd been holding in for years. 3 weeks ago, right around when Patricia supposedly found the journal. Did Mom and Vanessa spend time together recently, before the journal was found? Blake thinks for a moment. Yeah, actually, Vanessa's been going to your parents' house for Sunday dinners. She mentioned it a few times, said she and your mom had gotten really close lately. Sunday dinners that Natalie hadn't been invited to because she'd been too pregnant and tired to drive across town. While she was home preparing for the baby, Vanessa was at her mother's house, probably going through Natalie's old belongings, looking for ammunition. Blake, I think Vanessa might have created all of this. The screenshots are fake. They have to be because I never sent those messages. And I think the journal entries might be real entries but altered, changed to make it seem like they were about her when they were actually about someone else. That's a pretty elaborate accusation, Nat. So is accusing me of 7 years of psychological torture. Blake sighs. I don't know what to believe anymore, but I need space to figure this out, and I think you should stay away from the house for now. Blake, I'm 8 months pregnant. Where am I supposed to go? I don't know, but if even half of what Vanessa is saying is true, I can't have you around until we figure this out. There it is, her husband choosing Vanessa's narrative over his wife's word, choosing space to think over protecting his pregnant wife from people who just assaulted her. After they hang up, Natalie makes a decision. I need a locksmith. First thing tomorrow morning, we're changing my locks. What about Blake's key? He can ring the doorbell if he wants to come home. Natalie barely sleeps. Every time she closes her eyes, she sees Vanessa's face as she lunged with the knife. Hears Patricia's voice saying, maybe it's time Natalie experienced consequences. At 7 a.m., she calls a 24-hour locksmith. He can be there by 9. Then she calls her doctor to make sure the baby's okay after all this stress. The doctor schedules her for noon. At 8:30, Natalie and Lacey drive to Natalie's house. Blake's car isn't in the driveway, but Patricia's is. Do you want me to come in with you? Lacey asks. No, stay in the car. If things get crazy, call the police. Natalie uses her key for possibly the last time with this lock. Inside, she hears voices from the kitchen. She can't keep living there, Vanessa saying. It's my house too, or it should be, if she hadn't stolen Blake. She's going to have to accept the reality of what she's done, Patricia interrupts. Once the baby comes, we'll make sure Blake understands his options. His options? What does that mean? Are they planning to try to take custody? Natalie walks into the kitchen. They both jump. What are you doing here? Patricia demands. I live here. What are you doing here? Vanessa stands up. She looks terrible, puffy eyes, messy hair, but there's something calculating in her expression. Did Blake tell you to stay away? Blake doesn't get to tell me to stay away from my own house. It's his house too, Patricia says, and he has concerns about your mental state. Natalie laughs. It sounds slightly unhinged even to her own ears. My mental state? Right, not the mental state of the person who stabbed a cake 47 times and tried to attack a pregnant woman. You're twisting what happened, Vanessa says. There are 50 witnesses and probably 30 videos. I'm not twisting anything. You caused all of this, Vanessa shoots back. If you'd just been honest from the beginning. Honest about what? I still don't understand what I supposedly did. You stole my life, Vanessa screams. The sound echoes through the house. The doorbell rings. The locksmith. All three of them freeze. That's a locksmith, Natalie says calmly. I'm changing the locks. Both of you need to leave. You can't kick me out, Patricia protests. Blake said we could stay here. Blake doesn't get to invite people to stay in my house without asking me, especially people who assaulted me yesterday. I didn't assault you, Vanessa says. I had a panic attack and lost control for a moment. There's a difference. Tell that to the police. Oh wait, I will, because I'm filing a report this afternoon. Patricia's face goes pale. You wouldn't. Watch me. Natalie opens the door for the locksmith and explains what she needs. As he starts working, Patricia and Vanessa gather their things in icy silence. Before they leave, Vanessa turns to Natalie one last time. This isn't over. Blake knows the truth now. Everyone knows. You can change the locks, but you can't change what you've done. After they leave, Natalie sits on her couch and cries while the locksmith works. He pretends not to notice, which she appreciates. When he finishes, he hands her 3 new keys. Listen, lady, he says quietly. I don't know what's going on, but if you need to call the police about those people, you should do it. That younger woman seemed off. Yeah, Natalie agrees. She is. At the doctor's appointment, the baby's fine, heartbeat strong, movement normal, but Natalie's blood pressure is elevated. The doctor warns stress could trigger early labor. Is there any way you can remove yourself from the stressful situation? The doctor asks. Natalie almost laughs. Not really. The stressful situation is my entire family. On her way out, she gets a call from an unknown number. Hello, Natalie. This is Officer Jennifer Martinez from the City Police Department. I'm calling about the incident at your baby shower yesterday. Multiple witnesses have filed reports and we'd like to take your statement. Finally, something going right. Natalie spends an hour at the police station. She shows them the videos people sent her. She explains about the fake text messages and suspicious journal entries. She tells them about Patricia holding her when Vanessa came at her with the knife. Officer Martinez listens carefully. This sounds like it could be a case of harassment, possibly stalking, definitely assault. We're going to reach out to your sister and ask her to come in for questioning. Do you have a restraining order? Not yet. I'd recommend one, especially given that she had access to your home and you're about to have a baby. When Natalie gets back to Lacey's apartment, Lacey's frowning at her laptop. What's wrong? I've been doing some digging into Vanessa, her social media, professional profiles, stuff like that. Lacey looks up. Natalie, did you know she got fired from her law firm 2 months ago? Natalie sits down heavily. What? No, she never said anything. She's been talking about making partner. According to a friend of mine who works there, Vanessa was let go for performance issues. She'd been making mistakes, missing deadlines. They gave her a warning 6 months ago. When things didn't improve, they let her go. 2 months ago? Right around when Vanessa's behavior towards Natalie started getting strange. Is she working anywhere now? I can't find any indication that she is, but she's been posting on social media like everything is normal, acting like she's still at the firm. So Vanessa was unemployed, potentially being evicted and spiraling, and somehow she decided all her problems were Natalie's fault. There's something else, Lacey continues. I found this post from 4 months ago on a forum about creative writing. Someone with a username that matches Vanessa's asked for advice on how to forge someone's handwriting. They got some detailed responses. 4 months ago? Months before Patricia supposedly found the journal. She planned this, Natalie says slowly. She's been planning this for months. Her phone buzzes. Blake.
Natalie, what the hell? The police just called me asking about yesterday. Good, because your sister-in-law committed assault and I'm pressing charges. You're pressing charges against your own sister? Yes, Blake, I am, because she tried to stab me and our baby, and because I'm learning that she's been planning this whole breakdown for months. Natalie tells him everything Lacey discovered, the job loss, the rent situation, the forum post about forging handwriting. Blake's quiet for a long time. That doesn't mean she made everything up. Blake, the text screenshots are fake. The journal entries were doctored. I can prove it. Did you ever ask me about any of this before deciding I was guilty? Did you ever give me a chance to defend myself? She's been so upset, Nat, so broken. Why would she put herself through that if it wasn't true? Because she's having some kind of breakdown and she's decided to blame me for it, and somehow she got Mom on her side too. After more arguing, Blake says he needs more time to think. Natalie refuses to drop the charges. He accuses her of tearing the family apart. It's already torn apart, Blake, and I'm not dropping the charges. She's dangerous right right now, and I need to protect myself and our baby." That evening, Natalie calls her dad in Florida. He and Patricia have been divorced for 15 years. When she tells him everything, he's quiet for a moment. "Your mother always babied Vanessa," he finally says. "Even when we were married. Vanessa's sensitive. Vanessa needs extra support. Vanessa has it harder than you. I tried to tell Patricia she was creating problems by treating you two so differently, but she wouldn't hear it. Do you think Vanessa actually believes the things she's saying about me? I think Vanessa has spent her whole life being told that the world is unfair to her, and now that her life isn't going how she planned, she needs someone to blame." The conspiracy goes even deeper. Comment right now. Have you ever had a parent who played favorites? Would you press charges against family? Subscribe because part 4 reveals the moment Blake finally sees the truth and Natalie makes a choice that changes everything. Blake shows up at Natalie's door around 9 p.m. He looks absolutely wrecked, bloodshot eyes, wrinkled clothes, clearly hasn't slept. But when he sees Natalie standing there, 8 months pregnant and exhausted, something in his face changes. "I'm sorry," he says immediately. "I'm so sorry, Nat. I should have talked to you first before believing anything, before taking Vanessa's side." Natalie lets him in. They sit at the kitchen table and she shows him everything. The real journals from college where she'd written about Bethany, not Vanessa. The actual text threads with Vanessa that prove she never mentioned having feelings for Blake. The metadata on the fake screenshots showing they were created within the past month. Lacey's research about Vanessa's job loss and potential eviction. The forum post about forging handwriting. Blake's goes pale as he examines it all. "Oh my God," he whispers. "Oh my God, Nat, she made it all up. All of it." "Yes. But why? Why would she do this?" Natalie explains her theory. Vanessa's life was falling apart, lost her job, couldn't pay rent, watching everyone around her succeed while she struggled. It was easier to blame Natalie than to accept responsibility for her own failures. "And your mom believes her. My mom has always treated Vanessa like she's fragile. This is just an extension of that." Blake puts his head in his hands. "I chose them over you. I let your sister attack you and I took her side. What kind of husband does that? A scared one, maybe? I don't know, Blake. I'm too tired to analyze it right now. Can you forgive me?" Natalie looks at him, really looks at him. This man she's loved for 7 years. This man who's about to be the father of her child. This man who believed she was capable of years of psychological torture against her own sister. "I don't know," she says honestly. "Maybe eventually, but right now, I don't even know if I can trust you." His eyes fill with tears. "That's fair. That's more than fair. I'll do whatever it takes to make this right. You can start by supporting me pressing charges against Vanessa, and by talking to my mother. She needs to understand that this is all based on lies." Blake nods. "I'll talk to her tomorrow." He stays that night, on the couch, not in their bed, but having him in the house makes Natalie feel safer. The next morning, Blake calls Patricia. Natalie can hear his side of the conversation. He's firm, but not cruel. He lays out the evidence. He explains that the text messages are fake, the journal entries were doctored, and that Vanessa had been planning this for months. When he hangs up, he looks shaken. "She didn't believe me. She said I was being manipulated by you, that you'd faked all this new evidence to cover your tracks." "Of course she did. She said she's hiring a lawyer for Vanessa for when the police charge her with assault. Good for her." Over the next few days, things start to shift. Some of Natalie's friends reach out after seeing videos of the baby shower incident. They're horrified. They offer support. A few people who knew Vanessa mentioned they'd noticed her acting strange lately, making odd comments about Natalie. One of Vanessa's former co-workers actually calls Natalie. "I saw what happened. I just wanted you to know that Vanessa has been talking about you at work for months. She's obsessed. She'd bring you up in random conversations, always comparing herself to you. A lot of us were worried about her, but she got fired before anyone could convince her to get help." The police move forward with charging Vanessa with assault. She's required to stay away from Natalie, a formal restraining order. Patricia stops speaking to Natalie entirely. She leaves a voicemail. "You've chosen to destroy the family. I'll never forgive you for abandoning Vanessa in her time of need." But listen to that language, abandoning Vanessa in her time of need, as if Natalie owes Vanessa support after Vanessa tried to stab her, as if protecting herself and her baby is somehow a betrayal. This is the mindset that enables abusers, the idea that maintaining family unity matters more than holding people accountable for violence. Blake moves back home. They start couples counseling. The therapist says they have a long road ahead, but she thinks they can work through it if they're both committed. 2.5 weeks after the baby shower, Natalie goes into labor. Blake is there. Her dad flies up from Florida. Lacey stays with her the whole time. Her daughter is born at 6:47 a.m., weighing 7 pounds, 3 ounces. They name her Claire. Patricia is not there, Vanessa is not there, and Natalie doesn't miss them. But here's what Natalie didn't expect: the letter that arrives a week after Claire is born. It's from Vanessa. The envelope is thick. Inside are several pages in her handwriting, her real handwriting, not the forged version of Natalie's. The letter starts with, "I know you'll never forgive me, and you shouldn't, but I need you to understand what happened, even if it doesn't excuse what I did." Vanessa confesses to everything, creating the fake screenshots, doctoring the journal entries. She'd taken pages from Natalie's actual journals and used a lightbox to trace over them, changing key words and names, convincing Patricia that Natalie had been secretly terrible to her for years. "When I lost my job," Vanessa writes, "I spiraled. I started drinking too much. I stopped being able to sleep. And I kept thinking about how easy everything always seemed for you. You fell into a good relationship, you found work you liked, you bought a house, you were having a baby. Meanwhile, I was failing at my career, drowning in debt, and so lonely I'd go days without talking to anyone. And the worst part was that I knew it was my fault. I'd made bad decisions. I'd been too proud to ask for help. I'd pushed away everyone who tried to support me. But admitting that felt impossible, so I made you the villain. If everything bad in my life was because of what you'd done to me, then I didn't have to face my own failures. I convinced myself first. That's the scary part. I actually started to believe my own lies. The fake screenshots felt real to me. The altered journal entries felt like they captured a truth, even if they weren't literally accurate. I told myself I was exposing something that had always been there. This is the mechanism of self-deception. Vanessa didn't just lie to everyone else, she lied to herself until she believed it. She constructed a reality where she was the victim and Natalie was the villain, and then she found evidence to support that reality. Vanessa continues, "The baby shower was never supposed to go that far. I was going to make a scene, cry, accuse you publicly, but when I got there and saw you glowing and happy, surrounded by people who loved you, something broke. I picked up the cake knife, and before I knew what I was doing, I was stabbing the cake. And then I saw your stomach, your pregnant stomach, the ultimate proof that you had everything I wanted. And I genuinely, in that moment, wanted to hurt you, to make you feel physical pain to match my emotional pain. I'm telling you this not because I think it justifies anything, but because you deserve to know how sick I was, how sick I still am. I'm checking myself into a psychiatric facility tomorrow. I'm going to be there for at least 60 days, maybe longer. I'm going to work on figuring out why I did this, why I threw away my relationship with my little sister because I couldn't handle my own life falling apart. I don't expect you to ever speak to me again. I hope Blake can forgive himself for believing me. He's a good man who was in an impossible situation. And I hope you can raise Claire knowing that whatever happened between us was never her fault and never about her. I'm sorry. Those words are inadequate, but they're all I have." Natalie reads the letter 3 times, shows it to Blake. "What do you want to do with this?" he asks. "I don't know. Part of me is angry that she thinks a letter can fix this, but part of me is glad she's getting help." "Do you want to forgive her eventually?" he asks. "I don't know that either. Maybe someday, but not anytime soon." Meanwhile, Patricia sends flowers to the hospital with a card. "Congratulations on the baby." Nothing else. No apology, no acknowledgement of what happened. Natalie donates the flowers to another new mother and throws the card away. Because here's the thing about people like Patricia. They never apologize. They never admit they were wrong. They just wait for time to pass and expect everyone to move on like nothing happened. But Natalie's not playing that game anymore. This story has one more twist you won't believe. Comment, would you ever forgive a sister who did this? Have you cut off family members for your own sanity? Smash that subscribe button because part 5 reveals the moment Blake finally sees the truth and Natalie makes a choice that changes everything.
6 weeks after Claire is born, Natalie and Blake are sitting in their living room late at night. Claire's asleep in her bassinet nearby. They're both exhausted but happy, that specific kind of new parent exhaustion mixed with overwhelming love. Blake breaks the silence. "Can I ask you something? And I need you to be completely honest." "Okay. Do you regret how everything happened? Meeting me at that party, everything that came after?" Natalie looks at him, at this man who failed her when she needed him most, but has been trying so hard to make it right. At their daughter, sleeping peacefully, unaware of the drama that surrounded her arrival into the world.
No, she says. I don't regret any of it. Not meeting you, not marrying you, not having Claire. What I regret is that Vanessa couldn't be happy for me, that my mother chose sides instead of trying to help both her daughters. But the actual life I've built, I don't regret a single part of it. Blake reaches over and takes her hand. I love you, and I'm going to spend the rest of my life making sure you never doubt that I'm on your side. I know, Natalie says, and surprisingly, she means it. Couples counseling has been helping. They're learning how to communicate better, how to present a united front, how to set boundaries with family members who don't respect their marriage. But the real test comes 3 months later when Natalie gets a call from a number she doesn't recognize. I know I'm not supposed to contact you, Vanessa says immediately when Natalie answers, and I'll understand if you hang up, but I wanted to tell you that I finished my program. I'm living in a sober house now. I have a new therapist. I got a job as a paralegal, not glamorous, but it's something. And I wanted you to know that I'm testifying against myself. I'm telling the court everything I did was premeditated, that you deserve full protection from me. Natalie's silent for a moment. Why are you calling me? Because I'm learning in therapy that amends aren't just about apologizing, they're about changed behavior, and I wanted you to know that I'm changing, not because I think it will fix what I broke, but because it's the right thing to do. Okay, is Claire doing well? Natalie hesitates, then she's perfect. I'm glad, I really am. Goodbye, Vanessa. Goodbye, Natalie. Natalie hangs up and looks at Blake, who's been listening to her side of the conversation. Do you think she means it? He asks. I think she's trying. Whether she succeeds or not, that's up to her. Here's the thing about forgiveness that nobody talks about. It's not a one-time decision. It's a process, and sometimes the healthiest choice is to forgive someone from a distance, to wish them well without letting them back into your life. Natalie can hope Vanessa gets better without giving her another chance to cause harm. She can acknowledge that Vanessa was suffering without excusing what Vanessa did. Both things can be true at the same time. That night, as Natalie rocks Claire to sleep, she thinks about everything that's happened, about how quickly a life can be turned upside down, about how people you trust can become strangers, about the stories we tell ourselves can become more real than reality itself. But she also thinks about the people who stood by her. Lacey, who gave her a place to stay without hesitation, her dad, who flew up to be there for Claire's birth, the friends who reached out with support, Blake, who messed up but is working every day to do better. And she realizes that real family isn't the one you're born into, it's the one you build, the one that shows up when things get hard, the one that believes you even when the evidence looks damning. Claire starts to drift off, her tiny hand curled around Natalie's finger. Natalie looks down at her and thinks about the story she'll be told when she gets older, about her aunt who had a breakdown, about the dramatic way she entered the world. But mostly, Natalie hopes Claire will know this, that she was wanted, that she was loved, and that whatever happened with the rest of the family, she has parents who chose each other and chose her over and over again. The house keys are still in the drawer where Natalie put them after changing the locks. 3 copies, one for her, one for Blake, and one extra for emergencies. Vanessa will never have a key to her house again. Patricia will never have unrestricted access to her life. And that's okay, because sometimes the strongest thing you can do is close a door, lock it, and build something new on the other side. 6 months after the baby shower, Natalie is sitting in a coffee shop with Lacey. Claire's in a stroller beside them, fascinated by the ceiling fan. How are you doing? Really doing? Lacey asks. Natalie considers the question. Honestly, I'm good. Better than I thought I'd be. Blake and I are solid. Claire's healthy. I have friends who actually support me. Have you heard from your mom? She sent a birthday card for Claire, no return address, just her handwriting saying, "Happy 6 months," like we're supposed to pretend nothing happened. Are you going to respond? No, I think I'm done pretending. If she wants a relationship with her granddaughter, she can apologize for holding me down while someone tried to stab me. Until then, she's a stranger who sends cards. Lacey nods. That's healthy. Boundaries are healthy. I spent so long thinking I had to maintain relationships with people just because they're family, but family isn't an excuse for abuse. It's not a free pass to hurt people without consequences. This is the lesson Natalie learned the hard way, that you can love someone from a distance, that you can grieve the relationship you wish you had while protecting yourself from the relationship that actually exists. Claire starts to fuss. Natalie picks her up, and the baby immediately calms. This tiny human who depends on her completely. This tiny human who will never know a version of Natalie who accepted mistreatment from family members. I want to raise her differently. I want her to know that her worth isn't dependent on maintaining peace, that standing up for herself isn't selfish, that she doesn't owe anyone access to her life just because they're related. You're going to be an amazing mother, Lacey says, and Natalie believes her. Because here's what surviving family betrayal teaches you. You're stronger than you think. You can rebuild after everything falls apart, and sometimes the family you choose is better than the family you're born into. Natalie's phone buzzes. A text from Blake. Coming home early. Want to take my girls out to dinner? My girls, his girls, their family. Not the family Natalie was born into, but the family she chose. The family that chose her back. She texts back, yes, can't wait. And she means it. So, there you have it, Natalie's story. A woman who was attacked at her own baby shower, gaslit by her entire family, framed with fake evidence, and somehow came out the other side stronger. But I want to hear from you. Would you have pressed charges against your own sister, or would you have dropped them to keep the peace? Have you ever had a family member turn on you out of nowhere? What did you do? Do you think Natalie should ever let Vanessa back into her life, or is some betrayal too big to forgive? Drop your answers in the comments. I read every single one, and I want to know your stories. If this resonated with you, if you've ever felt gaslit by family, if you've ever been the scapegoat, if you've ever had to choose between peace and self-respect, hit that subscribe button. We're building a community here of people who refuse to accept mistreatment just because it comes from family. Share this video with someone who needs to hear that it's okay to set boundaries, that it's okay to protect yourself, that family isn't an excuse for abuse. And if you're going through something similar right now, you're not crazy, you're not overreacting, and you deserve to be believed. I'll see you in the next video. Stay strong.